Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Colourtrend webinar series for the summer. This is the first in three. My name is Sheenagh Green. I'm a colour consultant with Colourtrend, and we are delighted to welcome with us Nik Dillon.
Hi there, everyone. Delighted to be here.
Hi, Nik. How are you doing? Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, delighted to be asked. Really looking forward to this chat, guys.
Nik, would you mind just introducing yourself to us and tell us a little bit about what you do? I know you're a design consultant and a plant enthusiast, up to nearly 100 plants, I believe now.
That's it, yeah. So I've 29 years design experience based in Ireland, the UK and Australia. I founded Alchemy Branding and Design in 2004, and we work with clients of all sizes. So our work touches on all parts of brand, and that includes interiors. So when I got to work in Airbnb's installation there in Dublin, it was a timeline installation, and then having worked with Savvy Credit Union on their new flagship HQ, I really got a taste of these environments. And with Savvy, I specified the plants there too. So I suppose that's where the biophilic thing all started.
Yeah, so it's quite organic, really, in a way, how you got into it. Yeah,
exactly. So all of these experiences really started to sow the seeds, I suppose, for my passion for all things interiors and the role that nature can play in it. So eventually, when my dream was always to relocate back to my hometown. So eventually, when that happened in 2019, I think it was, having bought the perfect doer-upper, and we're lucky enough to have a lovely unspoiled back garden. So I couldn't wait to get stuck in renovating and redesigning the house to bring it up to date for a modern family life. And I think the back garden really, it was just so inviting. I just wanted to, bring it into the house. So I think I've 79 plants at home and 24 in the studio. So yeah, 103 plants. So we'll take you through a few of them, but maybe not all of them.
Lovely. So you have practical tips for us today, and I think we're going to just launch straight into the webinar now then. So thanks so much for that introduction.
Not at all.
So today we're talking about bringing nature indoors, everything to do with biophilic design. So biophilic design is leaning into our innate connection with nature and trying to reap the benefits from that within our home. So at the moment, we're just going to do a quick little poll just to see where everyone is at with biophilic design, just to see how much they know about it, just for a starting point, and it'll kind of help guide us a little bit as well, just to ensure that you are getting the most out of this webinar. So our digital team are also in the background at the moment, so they're going to be here to answer any questions that you might have during the webinar. And also myself and Nik will take a little Q&A at the end as well. So if you have any questions that come up during it, to do with specific plants or paint colors or finishes, just feel free to pop them into the Q&A question box there. So Nik, maybe you could maybe just chat us through a little bit more about what you feel about biophilic design, what it means to you, and how you feel the benefits of it in your own home.
Sure, yeah. So the word, I suppose, biophilia means a love of nature, basically. So to me, the whole idea is to, it's connecting with nature and introducing it inside in as many ways as possible. I think there's a misperception out there that it's all about green walls and lots of plants, which I love both of. But it's lots of other things, it's introducing textiles, adding your choices of color. It's adding natural boho vibes. It's even just the light you choose. And it's simple ways that you can even introduce, like airflow, is just open your windows in your house. So you've got a lovely sort of fresh air coming through.
I think that's it, isn't it? That when people hear biophilic design, they can be a little bit intimidated, that it feels like a technical term, and it's very accessible for people, and its little things make a big difference as well.
Well, that's it. And I think a lot of the time people are actually doing it and they don't know they're actually doing it. Like, burning a really nice scented candle, a diffuser at home, all of those and then even playing some music. So like, sounds and that kind of thing as well it's all part of it. So it's really, I suppose, create a nice, relaxing, harmonious home through nature.
Yeah, yeah. And we've lots of practical tips and actual examples of your own home as well now as we go through. So I believe this picture on the left-hand side of the screen for all the participants is your own master bedroom. And I know you were saying before you took a lot of inspiration from your immediate surroundings in the back garden and everything. If you could talk us through that a little bit and your inspiration, that would be great, Nik.
Sure, yeah. So we're lucky enough to, there's a school right behind us, and then there's some houses as well. So we've got a really nice hierarchy of greenery and colour coming through. So this was an autumn landscape, and I just love kind of rusts and oranges, and hence the dress. Yeah, but so I love all that kind of warm, earthy hues. So the idea here was to really introduce it through textiles and, you know, fixtures and fittings. So the first thing I wanted to do was, I suppose, create a bit of a luxe hotel vibe with the curtains. So they're floor to ceiling green velvet. So again, it just softens, you know, so you've got no hard edges. So I always think of it as a way, how can you soften the edges a little bit more through greenery or fabrics or textiles? And then the headboard there, it's actually, that's been recycled about 4 times. So it's an old headboard. So I just kind of keep repainting it. So I color match it there to some of the leaves and greenery outside. So yeah, it's just, and then we were lucky enough to have, I suppose, a huge big window. So rather than covering that with blinds, because this is the back of the house, we just left it wide open. So it's, if I do get a lie-in on a Sunday morning, it's quite nice.
Yeah, and you can really see from that there's very little break between the interior and the exterior, that the colours are really connected. So that's lovely, and that, I think it's important for people to take their immediate surroundings into consideration, you know, and go with the seasons as well. Yeah, exactly. And then on the right hand side of the screen here, we've just put in an image of our lowland paint from Colourtrend. And you can see as well that it doesn't have to just be, you know, very strong greens, that we just have some cut flowers and a nice muted pink. And again, that's leaning into that warmth and the outdoors as well, just to go with any, you know, that a lot of the time people might feel, oh, my style's a little bit too elegant or a little bit too refined to have a lot of plants, but it can be introduced in any style, really.
Yeah, I love the soft, it's really lovely and soft and relaxing kind of vibe there as well. It's really fresh.
Gorgeous. So if we just move on then to the next slide there, we have a few more, and I know this is a different angle in the middle here we'll start with, which is your master bedroom again. And you can see that lovely dusty light coming in, which is kind of representing the natural light in the morning and the evening time as well, which is perfect for a bedroom.
That's it. And the first thing we did there, they're old wardrobes. And funnily enough, the story behind the house, my granddad actually built them. Built the house. Yeah, it was just kind of fluke. So I kind of knew it had to be ours. So he actually handcrafted those lovely wardrobes. So they needed a little bit of an update. So we painted them a nice soft blush, which I think is just a really nice sort of neutral color. And then, yeah, introducing lots of reds and rusts again from the outside. And just nice kind of natural textures. Like we've got, I love linen as a bedspread or whatever, a duvet cover. So just simple things like that. And I love kind of, I suppose, layering things up. So the lampshade there is feathers as well. So again, introducing the natural sort of textures and keeping the wooden floor, you know, again, natural kind of vibes.
Yeah, and very soft as well, you know, and just adding that warmth for your bedroom. And even the fact that, you know, with the feathers, having that little bit more texture makes a big difference. Yeah. And then on the left, we have here again, just Colourtrend Colour Code Fox Mount. And that's just bringing in the terracotta tones, which again, you know, bringing in that earthiness. And terracotta especially is such a nice backdrop for greenery. It just works so well. And especially in the Irish light, it's not too dark either, and just creates that real cozy cocoon feeling. So it does. And just having a little bit of lighter furniture in front of it can make all the difference, so it's not too dark. And then I believe the right hand image we have here, Nik, is your own kitchen in your own home.
That's it. That's where I'm sitting right now. So you can see the different light, you know. But yeah, we actually knocked through. So this is the house is I think it was built in 1964. So the kitchen was tiny when we got our hands on the keys, and then so we knocked through into this with the original living room. So, and the funny thing was we wanted to create I suppose an orangery kind of look from the get-go. So the idea is to extend eventually. We love the idea of orangery kind of vibe. So the plant collection started in the corner behind me and sort of grew ever since. But you know, so here's some examples, I suppose, of biophilic. So you've got the wooden floor, herringbone floor. You've got a sheepskin kind of, so that kind of gives it that nice softer feel. Not only do we have greenery, I suppose, but freshly cut flowers. So these were ranunculus, I think was taken last year. To the bright light, introducing kind of imagery like the bird there. So again, kind of mimicking nature and how we can bring that inside.
Yeah.
So
and the fact as well, I think with the artwork is brilliant. It shows that, you know, biophilic design isn't just a trend, that you can lean into your own personal style, and having this organic artwork, I think, is brilliant because it represents your own style. You know, you could have a photograph, you could have a landscape there, and it still is into your own style and very contemporary at the moment.
That's it.
Well.
Yeah, it's a little bit bold with the black, but yeah, kind of big black fan.
Exactly. And I think as well, you made a really good point about the wooden floor, that a lot of the time we think of colors, but actually materials are really important. And that's how you get those layers that you're talking about as well. And going for, you know, a nice light oak can give that contemporary feel in the home as well.
That's it.
So we have a few more here of your house. I think this is great just to show practical tips of how to install this, because a lot of the time people could say, oh, you know, a green wall, it might be a bit much, but if we go straight to that middle picture, you know, it's brilliant. Could you chat us through that a little bit, Nik?
Yeah, sure. So this was I suppose a dead space. So I think one thing that we quite like within this house is actually a smaller house than the first house we were in. We have to be quite creative with the space and kind of use kind of clever design throughout. So the landing itself, as I said, was just empty. So this is an old TV unit from IKEA that we took the doors off, and so it's actually a great piece of storage. And weirdly, it just fit to a T. It was brilliant. So, and it's a great excuse to have some more plants in the landing. But yeah, so it's actually the green wall there is basically, so to the left there is our the family bathroom. So when you come out of the bathroom, you're faced with this lovely green wall. And we only actually got it painted there a few months ago, but to me, it was crying out for a bit of color. And, you know, what the way simple tips I do when I'm kind of trying to choose a color is squint, like I quite like just, you know, squint at the colors you have around you. And my eyes were just picking up the greenery through the plants. So it's just quite
it was a no-brainer for that one.
Yeah, and it's a lovely, I suppose, earthy kind of color as well. It's nice and warm.
Yeah, and it really accentuates the artwork coming through it with the yellow as well. And it's made a space of this landing now that it's not just a pass-through area, that has features in it, and is actually gorgeous to come out of your bathroom and see these beautiful plants as well. And I believe the bathroom on the left, you were saying a good tip is to sometimes put the plants in there. I know you have a few full-time ones in there, but sometimes you use it for a little TLC, you were saying as well.
That's it, yeah. We call it our plant hospital sometimes because, yeah, I think the permanent residents plant-wise there are about 5. And the tall one there is actually a weeping fig. And just to show you, because I think some plants can be obviously very expensive, but this is a weeping fig I got in Lidl, I think about 2 years ago, and it was up to about my thigh, and it's since taller than me. But yeah, some sick plants are thrown in there as well, because plants love the humidity. Like some plants really thrive on humidity, and just has the perfect light there as well for growth. So a light source is basically energy for plants. So yeah, no, it's just the perfect environment. So if you have a sick plant at all, maybe throw it into your bathroom and it might
try it out. Yeah. And as well, I think really important to show, you know, your plants don't just have to be in your kitchen or your sitting room, that they can be integrated into your whole space, and to show that you can reap the benefits of biophilic design throughout your home to get that healthy feeling and the healthy home as well, and to reduce stress.
Well, that's it, exactly. And I think it just really helps with the flow of your house too. So you've got one common theme. So greenery is obviously, and green colours is a theme going through here. But then I think you can introduce biophilic design through the textures and patterns. And so, for example, there, the material there we chose there for the tiles is a terrazzo tile. So we kind of loved just reminding us on kind of going on holidays and things. So it just sort of makes the space as well. And it's quite functional as well. So say in summer then underfoot, it's nice and cool going into the shower, you know.
And a natural material as well, that, you know, when it's polished down, you can see all the different stone in it as well and pick up colours from that. I know that you have a blush there on the wall in the bathroom as well, and to pick up on those tones. So again, taking that inspiration from the materials in nature.
That's it. And I think pink and green are a lovely combo. And you think pink and green, you kind of go, God, is that not garish? But I suppose you can see it there. It's just, and I always find that I consider black as a nice neutral, really. You know, it's just
definitely
a strong base, but it gives a statement then as well.
And you need that contrast sometimes as well, definitely.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So we're just actually going to dive straight into your tips and tricks now, Nik, if that's okay. So I know you have a lot of plants and a lot of experience with plants, and I think it would be brilliant, especially for myself starting out. I love greenery, but I'm not green fingered. So just to get some real pointers of where to start and kind of different tips on how to keep them healthy and safe. So if we could just chat through that, then that would be brilliant.
Sure, yeah. And I suppose just to start off, I'm no horticulturist or expert, so this is really all that my experience has come through just by getting a feel and intuition for the plants, you know, over the last couple of years. So the first one is it's probably an obvious one, but to choose your plants wisely. And I think before you shop, try and observe your home environment, whether, you know, is it a south facing kitchen? Is it north facing? Does it have lots of humidity? So lots of different things you need to sort of consider. So kind of know what each plant, you know, what's the conditions you have.
Okay.
So I think there's plants really to suit every spot in every room.
Brilliant. And you could maybe find that out on the label that's on the plant, or chat to potentially the shop owner or something like that.
That's it. Well. Yeah. I love, that's the big one of mine. So it's a great way to build up your knowledge, because basically, befriend the plant shop and garden centre employees. They're the experts. And I find that they're dying to share a bit of knowledge. So they're really passionate about what they do as well. So every time I go into a plant shop or a garden centre, no matter, I just ask a question about anything, you know. So say you're keen on buying a plant, just literally go over to them and sort of say, do you think this would work in a south facing room? Or what's the, you know, is it going to grow massive, for example? So that's an IKEA trolley there, just that's in my kitchen as well. And you've got a nice large Monstera there just on top, the one with the big leaves. So he loves that spot. He's lovely and shiny and glossy, and he doesn't need a hell of a lot of, you know, just the odd bit of water here and then. But no, he just
looks after himself. Yeah. Brilliant. That's a great tip.
So and then the next one brings us nice, I suppose, onto be kind to yourself. You know, nature is all about slowing down and kind of, you know, it's calming, it's soothing. So don't beat yourself up. You're going, oh my God, I'm rubbish with plants or whatever. So don't expect to have lots of thriving plants from day one. As I said at the start, my own experience is just from trial and error. I'm moving things around and knowing what works and what doesn't work. And this kitchen is lovely and bright. It's south facing. It gets very warm. So the plants just love it in here, you know?
Yeah. Just to have patience with it. Like you say, take your cue from nature.
That's it, yeah.
And then in terms of watering, I know that you have a few tips for us on that a lot of people do overwater.
That's it. And it's funny, my husband, he'll kind of kill me for this, but I kind of nearly kind of go, right, I've watered, I'll tell him, right, I've watered the plants there in the trolley because I don't want him coming along and overwatering them. But a simple tip is, before you water them at all, and, you know, literally feel the soil. If it's bone dry, I literally give my plants a big dunk under the sink. You know, don't just give it a tiny bit of water. And another tip is lift your plant. And if it feels super light, you know it needs a bit of water too. So judge on the weight as well of it as well. So
don't just say, oh, it's 9 o'clock at night, I'll water them now, to kind of interact with them a bit and take a cue from that. Brilliant. Brilliant. Perfect. So I see there's a few more vessels. I'm sure you have some amount of plant pots and vases and everything as well.
That's it. I think, I don't know, lots of people out there probably love cushions. I love cushions as well, but you kind of collect lots of pots on your way, and there's loads of places around. You can get them from anywhere from Lidl and I suppose IKEA. So I love Hobart Maze.
Yeah,
they have a store in Monkstown and Town, and they've got a really nice collection, you know.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so try and develop the same time each week for Plant Love. And what I mean by that is try and think of it as a weekly meeting you have to go to, or a little bit of a regime. So you know, just kind of go, okay, and I've got 4 S's, I suppose I call them. So what are they? They're shower, shave, spritz, and sustain. So shower, so it's almost like getting ready in the morning. So give them a shower, give them a shave. So if there's any kind of brown or kind of unsightly crispy leaves, get rid of those.
Okay.
Yeah, and then some ferns like a weekly. So say you water on a Friday morning, come Wednesday and a Monday, they like an additional spritz. So that does a different job. It sort of helps with humidity. And sustain, I suppose, is a bit of food. So there's lots of plant food and kind of sprays you can use. But one piece of advice I actually got from Hobart Maze was, don't just add that to your routine, you know, willy-nilly kind of thing. Kind of only because the basic plants become to rely on the food then. So only really give them that if you feel that it really needs it, or you're kind of going, oh my God, I've tried everything else. So maybe a little bit. So
it's like ourselves if we're a little bit run down. So it's like a plant vitamin. Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. That's a great tip.
Yeah. Dust regularly. Okay. You know, you might think, of course, I'm going to dust it, but there's like the big rubber plants. So can be obviously, so from an aesthetic point of view and cleanliness point of view, you want to dust them. But there's other things it does as well, because, as I said earlier, light is an energy source. You don't want to block the light, you know, so keep that, you know, the layer of dust would actually block light, so for growth. So dust those off. And then the other thing is, a lot of plants are natural air fresheners or air purifiers. So again, you don't want you want to ensure that the leaves are effectively absorbing harmful particles. So you want to rub that off as well. So
perfect. So not to get rid of, you know, the benefits that they are bringing into your home by having dust on them and blocking the pores, really.
That's it, exactly. So as I said, it's not just a cleanliness thing. So you're doing 3 things there by keeping your plants dust free.
And you're saying you just use a wet cloth or something like that to dust them?
Yeah. Or just a piece of kitchen towel, you know what I mean, just damp. And years ago when we were waitressing, we used to clean the plants with milk. So it gives them a bit of a natural shine as well. So after you dust, that's another option if you would like glossy, shiny plants.
Get them photo ready.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Helps with your styling. And then the last one is more of this again is totally from experience. So holiday care. So the first obvious one is hopefully have a nice family member or friend that can drop in and give them all a good old water. The other thing is if you don't have anybody that can come in, what we've found is, especially this kitchen, it's really gets hot in the summer or whatever. So try and group them together in a darker, so you still want some low light coming through, but in a darker area. And that way, that by grouping them together, they actually develop their own microclimate. So they're actually thriving off each other, which is another thing. You know what I mean? So these guys behind me are thriving off each other because they're beside each other. It's like
its own little kind of ecosystem, I suppose.
That's it, exactly. So it's amazing all the stuff you learn along the way, you know. So yeah, try and and that way is if you keep them in the low light away from direct sunlight, it's obviously, you know, keeps them nice and cool. And other ideas are if you have a nice bath. We got rid of our bath for the kind of wet room look, but if you have a bath, put towels down and fill your bath with, you know, a couple of inches of water and put all the plants in there, and then they'll soak up the water from below. So that's another way.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah. Great, Nik. Thank you so much for all those tips. That's really, really helpful. I think that's such a good starting point for everyone now, you know, and even people who have plants in their house, just to kind of get a few new routines in as well. So it is. So I know you have a few plants here as well. We'll just chat through quickly. So if you can just give us a few of your, I suppose your top 5 it is.
That's it. And do you know what? This was like being asked to go on Desert Island Disc, trying to whittle your songs down to, I was like, I deliberated over this for ages, but basically the idea here is 5 plants for starting off. And I didn't want to just include, I suppose, some obvious ones like spider plants or whatever, but this gives a good variety. It also looks after various different conditions. So I've actually written down a few pointers. I didn't want to forget any. So the first one is your Monstera, so which I spoke about earlier. And it's actually, I think another thing is people get afraid of or get bogged down by the Latin names. Now, I don't remember them at all, except this one, because it's Monstera deliciosa, which I think, you know, it's a bit of fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think it's a beautiful plant. They are steady growers, so they actually can grow quite big. So it's hardy, it's easy to look after. I think it looks great in any interior. And it needs likes bright space. Basically no plant really likes direct sunlight, bar cactus and succulents.
Okay,
really.
yeah.
You know, so try and keep them away from direct sunlight.
Even in the Irish light as well. That's good to know. And it's lovely big leaves as well, so it's immediate impact, which is great.
Yeah, that's it. It's nice and striking. I have loads of these in both the office and at home. So that, again, they're 2 different environments and they're thriving nicely. So the second one is your ZZ plant. And this is super easy to look after. And he's really super glossy. So it actually feels faux, like, so it's like, it feels fake, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Because it just actually almost looks, you know, it's super glossy. It's slow growing. So we have one in the office and it's kind of sporadic growth as well. So suddenly it's just taken off. And then the new growth is lovely lime color. So you can actually see it happening. And then this one is actually an air purifier. So this is your natural air freshener. So
that's a great one then to take note of as well. And the weeping fig then we have next. That's the one that's in your bathroom and has a bit more height, is it?
That's it. And I actually have one in the kitchen here too, but they're lovely and they're really easy to look after. And as I said earlier, I think this was about 20 quid or 25 quid, you know, so, and it's gone huge and it doesn't need much love. So I think it's a great plant for conditions. It also is one of those plants that adapts to the conditions you have.
Okay, so,
brilliant. Yeah. The fourth one I have, I don't know whether people can see, it's this fella here behind me. He's actually a fern. So he's called a bear's paw fern. So, and he's kind of got a nice blue hue against, you know, so it's a bit different. So I think if you were to add that to your collection, people would be like, oh, what's that? You know, so it creates a little bit of interest.
Yeah. And again, different textures throughout, which is gorgeous.
Yeah. And this one's it's a natural air purifier as well. So it's interesting. A lot of them are doing different jobs. I have 4 of these in the kitchen. So it likes that sort of environment as well. Brilliant. So
and then I see the peace lily, which is really like accessible for people. You could pick, you know, them up in most supermarkets even at times of the year.
That's it. And I wanted to include one that was flowering. So it's a lovely white lily. So I'm told that if it's a brighter environment, it'll encourage the flowers to grow. But if you've got more of a low light, it'll become more of a foliage kind of plant.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, and again, it's another purifier. So that the last 3 are air purifiers. And interestingly, my peace lily is in the landing, which is can be quite dark at times. So it's surviving really well there. You know?
Brilliant. And they grow quite large as well, which is lovely, just to have a real statement piece. Thanks so much, Nick. They're brilliant. And like you say, something a little bit different that people might not always go for. So we might just talk quite quickly here just about this little nook that you have made over in your own house, just to see the before and after and how much biophilic design can help just creating a real rejuvenating home and a little cocoon space, really. So if you could just talk us through what you've done here. I see the color blocking is really, really good. I love it.
Yeah, so this is the corner just behind the kitchen door, and so you can see there on the left the gate posts, you know, in the before pic. So that was where the original wall was. So you can see that there was actually a doorway. So we were left with this kind of devoid sort of corner. You're kind of going, God, what will we do with that? But it's facing the back garden, so you've got a lovely view. So the idea was, my husband's an avid reader, so it's to create a nook for him. And then the color block, I really wanted the space to have its you know, have, you know, feel like a space within its own right, within a bigger space. So it's kind of a space within a space. And I think the color blocking defines that nicely.
Definitely, and zones it so well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And creates more layers, as you've talked about before, for that natural
That's it,
feel.
yeah. And I think of a simple way to sort of think of biophilic design as well is to layer it up. So you can see all the different plants there. I've got one hanging, so you kind of, I like mixing the hierarchy of plants as well. So you can have a hanging one, a larger plant there. You can have some floor plants. I have some 3 on the little shelf area.
Yeah.
And then just like textiles, as I said before, and material. So you've got the wooden floor obviously there, and then lots of texture. So this gives kind of, I suppose, a fresh Scandi boho sort of vibe.
Definitely.
And it's nice and relaxing. So it's creating that little, I suppose, refuge, which what's biophilic design is all about. It's kind of creating that soothing, calm, promoting positive well-being, all of that.
Definitely. And I think it's a really good point you made about having the different layers of height, because this is how you would find it in nature. There would be taller plants, there'd be shrubbery and different colors. I think that green is the one color we can see the most shades of with our eyes. So even if you look at a forest, there will be lots of different colors within that. So that's brilliant, and a brilliant before and after. I love it. It's great.
I think everyone always likes it before and after, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And so we're just going to pop on now just to go with a few colors, which I think people will be really interested in, just to show how you can actually use these colors to create some of the looks we've been talking about. So the first one is a really good white. So this will be a lovely backdrop, a really crisp backdrop for some of your interiors, especially offices, I find, or to get that look that you have in your kitchen with the wooden floor. So alabaster white is a really nice white, especially for the Irish climate, because it has a little tiny bit of yellow in it. It's a soft white, so it's not going to feel too stark. So this is what I'd recommend if someone's looking for a white. Pretty much will work in any room, north facing even, because of that little bit of yellow in it. And if you combine that with the timber, it'd be gorgeous. Then for creating a richer look, for potentially a living room, I would go for with this color is Profound. So this is a nice rich teal, and it can be gorgeous, especially with the big leafy foliage, darker greens, just to create that really moody look. And it has a little bit of green in it as well, so that creates more warmth than just having, say, a navy as well. So that's a lovely one. And then we have Sweet Caper, which is actually the color you used for your color blocking, which is brilliant. I love this. I think it's actually my favorite green from the Colourtrend range.
Mine too. It's so warm, so rich, and it's got loads of depth.
Gorgeous, yeah. And it's not too dark, which I think some people can worry about that. You know, so I think that's a brilliant one. And I think a really good tip as well is that if you're worried about using certain colors, think of the tints, which are the lighter versions of it, or the shades, which are the darker versions of the color. And that will just help kind of, you know, create a look that is within your own personal style. And then the last one we have here is Mallow Stem, just to show again that it doesn't have to all be greenery. These are kind of going to be a lovely color for, say, a bedroom that'll bring in that kind of dawn or dusky feel. So it's really good for a sleeping environment as well. And that harks back to the biophilic design.
And it's a nice muted look, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is, definitely. And kind of very subtle and not overly feminine either, which is really nice. So it is. So we just have a few different colors here then, Nick. I know that a lot of your home is lovely earthy tones, but this is just to show that, you know, there are a lot of colors in nature, and like I say, different shades and tints that can be used in biophilic design. And again, looking at different pictures or your surrounding area for inspiration is a really good one. The one I would really like to highlight here is the blue Larkspur or Blue Folly, which are two Colourtrend blues that we have. And a lovely trend that I'm seeing with biophilic design at the moment is to paint your ceiling in a blue, which I think can be gorgeous, especially for a bedroom as well, just to create that kind of replicating sky and not going too bright with it as well.
Especially, I think if you live near the sea, or, you know, you've kind of introduced you the surroundings, and then I just think of nice, bright summer blue skies as well, you know.
Definitely. And that's it. I think taking the cues from nature when it's thriving, when it's making you feel good. So sunshine, greenery, you know, greenery just says there's water there, that it's healthy, you know, and blue skies and warm light as well.
Holidays.
This is it. Exactly. Exactly. And just with the paint colors, so I've just picked out my top 3 colors here, which I think are a good starting point for people who are looking to get into the look and feel of some of Nik's interiors, just to have specific colors. So again, Arctic White is another white that isn't too stark, which I would recommend. That'll get that really nice Scandi boho look with the timber, and it's not too white, so it just will feel a little bit warmer, but you'll still get that really nice backdrop for your greenery. Then the next one is Lowlands. So this is a really nice blush, but it'll nearly feel like a neutral. It's not going to feel overly girly, so it could be used in a hallway, a sitting room, your master bedroom, even any environment really, because it's only at certain times of the day that you'll see that pink come through. And again, just to kind of show that it doesn't have to just be green and wood to get the benefits of it. And then the last one I would say is Palm House Fountain. This is a really good green. It's like, again, one of my favorite greens. It's hard to pick. I'd say it's the same with your own plants, Nik, trying to pick a favorite. But Palm House Fountain is brilliant. Again, it's a green, but it has a tiny bit of yellow in it, so it isn't too cold. So it just means for a sitting room or a bedroom, again, it'll give you that nice cocoon feeling. And I wouldn't be afraid to paint all your walls in this color. You know, there's some greens I would say just use for joinery or furniture or, you know, color blocking. But with Palm House Fountain, you could definitely paint all your walls in this. So it's a nice soft green as well.
It's lovely. I think it reminds me of sort of, you know, a lot of people have their windows as well painted in a kind of French grey kind of colour. It's really muted, and I suppose if you're not brave to go brighter, you know, or it's kind of, to me, it's that midway. So, you know, you're brave, but I just think it's lovely and striking.
Exactly. And it actually works so well with the Irish light and with red brick, which is you're saying with the windows, it works really well with red brick, even for your front door or garden fence as well. But just keep in mind everything, even in the Irish light, your colours will look brighter and lighter outside, so they will. So just on that, actually, just to say that, so you have your interior finishes for your walls, your woodwork and metal for, you know, any furniture you might be doing, and then you have your exterior. So this is just to show that, you know, don't be confined to painting your walls, and to bring in those layers in your furniture or in your woodwork, or, you know, even upcycling plant pots or things like this, that pretty much every surface can be painted now. So just to, you know, like Nik said, go to your you know, nearest hardware store or Colourtrend store and have a chat and tell them what you'd like to do, and they'd be able to advise you on the best finishes. All Colourtrend paints as well, just with promoting the healthy environment. They're all water-based, they're breathable, and they're low VOC as well, which is really important. And they're very durable, so you get that longevity out of them as well, which, again, it's good for a healthy environment, but also good for the environment as well. And the last thing I would like to say is just, we don't have it here, but we do have the Surface Protect finish. So that's antibacterial as well. So it can just promote, you know, a healthy environment in the home, which is really important. So we just have a few little top tips. I'm kind of conscious of time here. We just want to leave a little bit of room for Q&A if we can, but just to run through, I suppose, Nik, if you could kind of just give us your, I suppose, health and well-being benefits that you're finding from living in a home with Biophilic Design.
Sure, like it definitely makes you pause. Like anytime I'm kind of watering the plants or giving them their little routine, you actually find yourself becoming sort of more relaxed. So definitely it's soothing, it's calming, it's all of those things. So kind of, you know, it just slows you down as well as it. So it obviously reduces stress. In the office place, so it increases, studies have shown it increases productivity. And then in hospitals, like it's proven as well. So if you have a bed, say, look beside a window looking out at nature, you actually get better quicker. So there's loads of different, you know, so
and it's measurable. It's, you know, it's very much evidence-based, which is brilliant. Yeah. And I think that is something that, you know, with trends and things like that, that people kind of say, oh, you know, kind of where to start, but you can see with biophilic design that the numbers are literally there, you know. Definitely.
That's it, exactly. Even consider yourself walking along a beach and looking at the water, and it just calms you down, you know what I mean? It just has really sort of natural, nice meditative almost effect, you know.
This is it. And you know, for the thousands of years that we have been surrounded by nature, it's only really since the Industrial Revolution that we've been more in cities and built up environments. So it's relatively new that we are in such, you know, kind of areas that don't have as much nature. So it's built into us, I think.
That's it.
Yeah. So then I'll just chat to you again, just in terms of the starting point. I would go for white. If you're looking for a paint color for it, I would try Arctic Blonde or Alabaster White. Alabaster White will give you a bit more warmth, so you could try that. Lowland for a really nice blush, which is gorgeous, and then Palm House Fountain, which is the nice muted green. And then if you could just kind of go through the 5 go-to plants again, Nik, that would be brilliant. I know this is being recorded so people can watch it back, but it'd be great just to have them on hand again now if you do. Sure,
yeah. And I suppose in no particular order, because I love them all. So you had your Monstera to start with, your ZZ plant, which I think that's a nice easy name even to remember. The Weeping Fig, which was the one up in my bathroom. The Bear's Paw Fern, which I have 3 or 4 around in the kitchen, so I like light bright areas. And then the Peace Lily, which is adaptable really to, as I said, I have that on my landing, so it's a dark kind of area. So, and that's the flowering white. So that's a really
brilliant, nice. Great. And it's so nice as well that you have all these plants in your home. So we know you've been our guinea pig. We know they work well in the Irish environment, which is great. Yeah. And then, like you mentioned before, the 4 S's, what were they, remind us?
Yeah, so I just came up with this. So it's basically shower, shave, spritz, and sustain. So it's almost, think of yourself getting ready to go out in the morning, you know, the shower, give yourself a shave, spritz, and sustain. So if your plant, you feel like your plant really needs some kind of food. As I said, there's droplets, there's sprays, there's lots of different things as well. But
brilliant,
you know,
amazing. Thanks so much. So we might just see there. I know we have a few minutes, so we have a few questions and answers lined up there. So we'll just try and take a few. That would be great. The first one there, maybe Nik, is for you if you'd like to answer that. So how do you know if you have overwatered a plant?
Okay, so it's there's loads of variable conditions, and I don't want to give a politician's answer here, but there's lots of different, you know, the plant might sort of, suddenly the leaves might fall off, or the leaves might go yellow or whatever. And there's also plants, I think, that defy the rules. So I think if you think, oh God, I followed exactly what it said, and why is this happening? So I suppose to give an example, we had a citrus tree. So it's a little orange tree, and they're in all the shops at the minute. They're gorgeous little button kind of oranges. And like that, followed all the rules. So that's another plant that actually likes sun, you know. So I think of when you go on holidays, you see lemon trees and orange groves or whatever. Yeah, so that actually likes direct sunlight, which we sort of had. And we went on holidays and came back, and the poor plant was totally dead. So another when I kind of don't accept a plant just, you know, oh God, he's dead, break a piece of twig off, and if you see a little bit of greenery in there, you know there's still a bit of life there. So
okay, that's great advice.
Yeah, so he was sent up to the bathroom for the hospital. So, he's grown away again, you know. So there's just things like that. So don't be afraid that, yeah, God, I've done everything right, but there is plants that do.
So they can be rescued, you know. Sometimes they're not too far gone. That's great. Yeah. Brilliant. So we have a paint question here. We might just try and answer as well. So the question is, I have black granite worktops and was planning on painting my kitchen island pink chocolate and the possible remaining kitchen presses in willow white, but I'm unsure if it'll match the pink island. They have herringbone wood floors. So what I would say here for anyone listening who doesn't know what pink chocolate looks like, it's a very rich, dark, earthy pink. Actually, it's quite a dark chocolate pink. It's a gorgeous color, and it'll work really well with the black granite worktops. What I would say to this question is the willow white would be a little bit purple with it. So I would probably go for something more like Shell Cove, or even you could go for stucco work, which has a little bit more pink in it. I just feel purple in the willow white would jar against the pink chocolate, and that's what you really want to be the statement in the place, you know. So to try that. So then we are just going to actually maybe answer this question here, which would be great. So is there any plants you would recommend for improving air quality in your home? I know you touched on a few of them there, Nik, earlier, but maybe if you could just mention one or two again, that would be great. Just again, because the biophilic element in that would be brilliant.
Yeah, sure. So there's Easy Plant, which is one of the easiest ones. So I would definitely highly recommend that. The Bear's Paw Fern, which is this guy behind me, as I said, he's an unusual fern, which would be a nice one to add to your collection. And then the Peace Lily, which is your flowering white. So that's a good different, you know, those three would be great to start you off. And they're also quite different plants as well. So a nice but yeah, they're great air purifiers.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Thanks so much. And then we have this question here again about paint. I am wanting to paint my kitchen cabinets, and they're wanting to use a white color, but they don't want anything too stark, but they don't want a cream either. So I get this a lot actually, and I totally understand it. It's very hard to find a nice neutral that isn't too white but doesn't have too much yellow in it either. So what I would advise again for this lady is to try alabaster white. This will feel like a really soft white. It won't feel stark, as long as you don't have anything brilliant white behind it. So if your walls are brilliant white, it's going to show that little bit of yellow coming through the alabaster white. But if you stick to having, you know, a nice light taupe, or even a light gray, or even, you know, a green on your kitchen walls, or your backsplash is quartz or something like that, then the alabaster white would be perfect with it. So it would. So I hope that helps with you. So we might just try and take one more question then, if we have time. That would be great. So maybe Nik, could you recommend a plant for a dark corner?
Dark corner. I suppose the Peace Lily, because that's up in my landing, and it's dark enough there. We also have some palm, like our front room is totally dark chocolate. So if anyone wants to check it out on Insta, it's like completely dark chocolate, and we've a pink ceiling. But
wow.
Yeah, so there's a palm in there, and he's doing rather well in there. So, but the thing is as well, so think about your window. So I have it quite near the window, so it's actually a north facing room, so it's dark and cool in there, so it needs a bit of light for energy. So if you have a way back near your back wall, it's not going to thrive there. So again, kind of try and consider your actual, is it near light, is it cool, is it north facing, south facing, that kind of thing.
Brilliant. And would it be enough, Nik, to move it around? You know, so say if you had it near your patio door 3 days of the week and in your darker corner, would that work, or is it better just to kind of keep them in the same location?
Yeah, it definitely would work, but you're not going to know what's working, what isn't working if you're sort of moving it around. So I would tend to sort of leave it in a spot, and if it's thriving, great, all well and good. And if it isn't, move it around again. Which, you know, another thing, like a little tip is if you revolve your plant. So aesthetically, I need to do that a bit more. So there's if a plant looks really nicely in a certain position, but you might be quite flat and kind of bald at the back. So if you keep revolving your plants, they'll grow much fuller that way.
Okay, brilliant. That's great advice. Thanks a million. And so unfortunately, I think that's all the questions we can take for the moment. We're coming to the end of time there now, I'm just conscious of. But I am here in Colourtrend. I'm the colour consultant. You can get in touch with any of the stores to book colour consultations if you're interested in finding out about specific colours for your home. You can also go to colourtrend.ie and you can book online consultation services there, or in any of our stores. And we're at Colourtrend Paints on any of socials. And Nik, maybe just for any other plant questions or anything like that, if you could maybe just let people know where they could reach you, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, my Insta is just simply Nik Dillon. So Nik with a K, so NIKDILLON. And yeah, I'd be delighted to, I love spreading a bit of plant love. But yeah, no, delighted to answer any questions there as well. So just DM me there.
And just again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant. I have to say, I've learned so much, and I feel like it's a very accessible topic now that I can really try and get a few more plants in my home and introduce a few more layers, definitely.
Not at all. As I said, you know, it can feel intimidating at the start, and people sort of say, oh God, I'm rubbish at plants. But I think once you start building up your knowledge, I don't think anyone is rubbish. You know what I mean? You just kind of just get a bit of confidence that way.
This is it. And to have patience.
That's it. Yeah. Plants don't grow too fast.
This is it. And thank you so much to everyone who joined us. And like I say, this is the first in our webinar series for the summer. So keep an eye on our socials and on your email and any other up-and-coming webinars. We'd love to see you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.